Hello, YouTube. I'm Andrew Does Hair. You can find my work on Instagram at Andrew Does Hair. This is my client Brody. Today we're going to cut off all of her hair. We're going to give her kind of a short, pixie, shag, mullet, rocker kind of haircut. I don't even know exactly what you'd call it, but it's when you see it, you go, oh yeah, one of those haircuts. Kind of like Joan Jett meets Scene hair. So I started off by spraying her hair here because I kind of wanted you viewers to see just how long her hair was. If I shampooed it, I mean, I guess wet hair looks as long as dry hair. But I thought, the spraying it down process would give a better, like, oh, wow, that was, I mean, not that she has like super long hair, but compared to what she's going to end up with, she's got quite a bit of hair. So as you can see, to begin with here, I'm going to part out an area in the front for the fringe slash bangs area. And what I want to do with this is first I want to take a little piece and give myself a guide. She was pretty clear that she didn't want her bangs to be super duper short. And so I gave myself a little guide there to see where all this hair is going to fall and hit. So I'm going to take this little strip down the center here and pull it out straight off the head. Not straight up, but straight out from where it grows. And I'm going to cut that strip down the middle. And then I'm going to take sections moving outward through this whole area and pull all the hair up and into that middle section. This is going to make the hair progressively longer as it moves out toward the outside of the head. As you would imagine, what I do to the right side, I will then try to do the same on the left side. Hopefully it's symmetrical. Once I have this done, I can take a center strip of hair through the top of the head. And what I want to do with this is pull it up, again, just straight off the head, not straight up, but just straight off the head from where it grows. And I want to connect it to the back of those bangs that I cut. And then I want to create kind of a round shape following the shape of the head here. I've said this twice already, but I don't want to pull the hair straight up or straight out, like parallel to the floor, like I would do with like most men's haircuts. What I want to do is pull everything up from where it grows. So in front of the apex, it leans a little forward, and on the apex, it actually goes straight up. And then as we work around the back, it starts to stick out and back. And what I'm doing with these sections next to that first center strip is when I cut the second section, I use the first section as a guide, and then I push the first section out of the way. And now I'm using the second section as a guide to cut the third section. Each new section that I pick up is only going to meet the previous section to give me a guide as far as where to cut the hair. And what this is going to do is, as I, again, just like in the front of the hair, as I work closer to the outside edges of the head, the hair will become longer and longer. So the hair running down the center of the head is the shortest, and then out on these corners, it's just a little bit longer. But it's following that same round shape front to back. When I get to the furthest outside panels of the hair here, I want to take all of this straight up to the last section that I cut. And I'm not going to cut that hair at the very front here. It actually probably wouldn't matter if I brought that up, but in my little brain, it's disconnected, and later on, I'll connect it while refining if it needs to be done. So that's the right side, and hopefully, if I'm able to, I want to cut the left side the same way. So the second section comes up to the first section as a guide. The third section is going to come up to the second section as a guide. Fourth section to the third section, and so on, until we eventually get to that long hair hanging over the ears, to where we can pull it all up to whatever the last guide is on that corner. So, okay, we've got a front and a top of a haircut. What I want to do here is clip up the hair in the back over the occipital bone, and I want to work with all the length that she has from the bottom of her bob. So I want to find that longest piece at the very bottom, which is going to show me where the length was, and I want to pull it straight up to figure out how high up it goes. And wherever it hits in the middle here, that's where I'm going to cut all of this hair to. Now, I want to connect all of the hair working outward to a straight line here. I'm not following the shape of the head. I'm not going to hug this angle in toward the head because that would produce a uniform length from the left side to the right side. But by cutting it straight across like this, what's going to happen is the hair on the outside edges, the left and the right, is going to be longer and heavier than the hair in the middle. And now that I've done that, I can connect what I was doing on top to what I was doing at the sides here by just taking vertical sections throughout the back of the head. Now, as I'm cutting these, I'm not holding the last section as I pick up the next section because that's irrelevant to the shape of whatever I'm trying to put in here. I'm looking at the hair at the bottom that I just cut. I'm looking at the hair at the top that I cut previously, and I'm connecting the dots all the way around. So now I can take all of this like sideburn area, fringe hair, and I want to pull it back and connect it all behind the ear. This is going to cause the hair to go shorter to longer from the back to the front and do that kind of like pointy dog ear scene thing. And as you would imagine, what I do on the right side, I want to emulate on the left side. So this is about the roughed out haircut here. This is our rough shape. It's It kind of reminds me, it's like a little bit Joan Jett, like, but scene style Joan Jett. So now I can go through and blow dry the hair. What I'm doing here is first I rough dried the hair with high heat and high power, and now I'm using high heat and low power while I flat wrap the hair all around the head. And this is going to make it, for the most part, pretty straight. Not perfectly straight, but it's going to get us going in the right direction. This is also going to help all the cowlicks to lay really smooth and flat. And eventually, if you flat wrap the hair long enough, everything just lays wherever you put it. Now that I'm done flat wrapping, I'm going to grab my 9-row brush and I'm going to go through here taking smaller sections of hair to really focus that heat into the brush and put a lot of tension on the hair to make it super smooth and straight. Back in the scene days, we would have just flat ironed this, but these days, like, if I could do something with the blow dryer, I'd rather do that than take out another tool. But you could flat iron this if you wanted to. I just think it's I get an ever so slightly more natural look out of a blow dry as opposed to a flat iron. Like when I flat iron hair, I can't make it look natural. It just looks like fake, like straw. So as I'm blow drying this, keep in mind, we haven't texturized anything yet. This is all completely blunt cut. Now that I've got it straightened, I can pull it up and start texturizing it. So I want to texturize in sections that are going opposite the direction that I initially cut the hair. This is because I'm actually cross-checking the haircut as I do this. And so that piece you're looking at there, it's pretty straight. It's a little tiny bit wobbly, but I'd say that's pretty good for a cross-section to go back and check your haircut. If I was directing those initial sections crooked or pulling them the wrong way, or I wasn't doing anything uniformly enough, you would really see it here. And because it's only a tiny little itty bit wobbly, it means I did a decent job. So anyways, with that said, I want to point cut the hair all throughout, both in sections that are going to lay in the direction the hair lays naturally or where I expect it to lay, but also I want to cross-check everything that I can. So anything I cut vertically, I'm going to check it horizontally. Anything I cut horizontally, I want to check it vertically. And although I say like, oh, I'm point cutting this, like I'm going to be doing all kinds of things. I'm going to point cut, I'm going to slide cut, I'm going to punch cut, I'm going to just, I don't remember if I pull out texturizing scissors, but basically I'm just going through and I'm texturizing the hair. I want to cut these notches short to long in the direction that I expect the hair to lay because it's going to make everything look a little bit more cohesive. As I'm doing this, you might see some pieces that like, oh, Andrew missed a piece like that. Yes, I did. I almost always miss a piece when I'm cutting the hair wet, and then I find it when I'm going back and refining. This is why we refine. I've come to learn that not every barber or hairdresser blow dries hair and refines after blow drying. And I gotta say, if you're not doing this, like you might be missing something. It's such a different thing, the way the hair acts and the way the hair moves after it's blow dried versus when it's wet. And so when you're detailing the haircut, you really want to see how it's gonna move. And like, I just strongly urge, if you're, whatever haircuts you're doing, I mean, I don't care if you're doing a pompadour, slick back fade, scene, mullet, shag, pixie cut, graduated bob, anything you're doing, you got to blow dry it smooth and straight or flat iron it before you refine it. I mean, go look at some of the greats like DJ Muldoon. You never see that guy finish a haircut without smoothing it out first. Like, this is so key. I just realized that I'm doing a lot of texturizing. Maybe I'll fast forward this part and kind of make the video a little bit more brief here, but it's kind of the same thing throughout this whole texturizing process. Is you just pick things up. If they look heavy, you chop them. While I'm texturizing the hair, I do like to move it around and look at the different places that it might fall throughout the day. Like, oh, maybe this will tuck behind the ear. Maybe this will split in front of the ear. And I want to kind of push it there and force it there to get an idea of what it's going to do when it's pushed and moved throughout the day. I'll come back in here and ever so slightly refine the bangs. I am a little bit worried that her bangs are going to pop up. Like they kind of don't want to lay down. I had to really blow dry them down. So as I'm texturizing them, I'm not going too aggressive. I'm just really keeping it right toward the tips there. And once I'm done with that, I think we have about a finished haircut. Now I can grab some product. And looking at this hair, like it actually looks pretty cool without product. I'm going to put in just barely any hair, just to make the hair kind of sticky and to help piece it apart. And I'm just going to noogie it in at the root and then kind of rake it through some of the tips here on the pieces that I want to lay a little flatter. And the way I like to think of it is like ADH dry makes hair just a little bit bigger. Like it makes it look a little bit dirty and a little bit big. It's very like rockery in a case like this one. So now we can set up to take some photos. I didn't go crazy on the photo shoot today, and this part's going to be probably pretty brief compared to what I usually do with these videos. So I'm going to shoot with my craziest lens today. This is my Sigma 105mm f1.4 art. I'm putting it on a Canon R6 body. This is like the overkill setup that I really don't need, but sometimes I don't know, sometimes it's thrilling to just shoot with too much camera. What I'm using here above is a 16-inch beauty dish sitting on a, what is this thing called? Interfit Honey Badger. This is a strobe. This is a flash going off. And with the beauty dish by itself, you can see that the shadows under the chin are really dark. So by adding a reflector, I'm able to ever so slightly reduce the amount of shadow under the chin. Once I've done that, I'm going to add a light behind her pointed at the wall. This is going to make sure that my white wall doesn't fall black in the photos, but instead it's going to be a white wall. Then I'm going to grab these other lights here. If I had like an endless budget, I would use strobes for these as well, but I don't. So these are Godox SL60 video lights. They're very bright. Like I would not ask her to look at these, but I put them behind her to help to light the hair so it doesn't fall completely dark in front of the background. And now I can kind of noogie the hair around and get it ready and start getting some shots. Now, I'm not an expert at helping people to pose. Like, I'll throw ideas out there and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We're literally just having fun here. And so hands always look cool in a photo. I was like, hey, put your hands up there. Here we have a before and after editing. So I'm not like huge on editing photos. I don't do a ton of them. I don't do a whole bunch of editing with my photos. I just do like ever so slight subtle stuff, kind of even out the coloring on the background, that sort of thing, remove a couple blemishes here and there. Once we got rolling here, I just got a few more shots. You know, we didn't shoot for a very long time. We just got a couple shots. And then right here at the end, I decided to turn off that kind of background light to get some low-key photos here, which would be a very dark background. And here's one of those. So yeah, just a fun, quick little shoot. And basically, we did a pretty huge transformation here. We went from a grown-out bob with some bangs, and now it's, again, what do you call it? A rocker, shag, mullet, scene cut? Thanks so much for watching. If you're into this kind of content, please like and subscribe.